Yeah, right. I'm Ben and I've got schizophrenia. And basically this is my second video. But today I'm working on one of my houses. I rent a few houses out and it's freed us up to do different things like volunteer and that, which I've done a few years. But yeah, the problem is sometimes when people leave, they leave a mess and you've got to come and clean it up. And that's what we're doing today, pal. So basically, I've done a brief introduction on my first video and I'm going to go more into a bit about me and my symptoms and what I believe and my game theory. So basically, it was a few years, 7, maybe 10 years ago, I started noticing that I was getting messed with, like I was getting spiked on nights out, or I believed I was getting spiked on nights out. And then I started getting a bit suspicious, looking for what was going on, and then I came to the conclusion that my life was on a game show, like a Truman Show, but basically, and that's the Truman syndrome. And I think in schizophrenia it's quite common for people to believe you're being watched. I think that's the #1 thing, and I had a bit of that. So yeah, yeah, and then I believed that for a long time. I didn't, except for my delusions, I didn't have any symptoms. My symptoms only started coming in 2022. I was in Europe. I was in a bit of a stress. It was COVID. It was like after 2 years of COVID. And then I started hearing voices and like many things was going on. Like I believed that every time I would eat, I would get into a more dangerous game. So I wasn't eating as much. And yeah, stuff was, it was bad. And that's obviously the picture I showed you on the first one. It got down to that. And then I've taken meds, and to be honest, my symptoms after that were quite boring, to be honest. Like if I've ever been really stressed, like I fasted for 7 days and that stressed my body out, which I don't recommend anyone doing with schizophrenia. And yeah, basically I could hear music in the other room, like, or you think you can hear music. It's a weird one. You just don't, sometimes you don't know if it actually is or if it's just a earworm. It's hard to distinguish. I would also have like feelings of like crawly things on my face, and then obviously suspicious thoughts. But other than that, like, that's as bad as it's really got, which is not too bad. I work full time. I volunteered for 60 odd hours a week, 6 days a week, 10 hours a day, like 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. I've done that for many years, and yeah, I don't, like, it hasn't really affected me in that sense. You could say I'm a high functional schizophrenic, that's what they call it. I didn't know that until I'd done a bit of research, but yeah, at least I'm high functioning on one thing. I just keep a good structure. Like, I go gym 6 days a week. I'm working. If I'm not working, I find jobs to do. Like, I've always been working. I've worked since I was 14. I've never really been out of a job, except for when I took off in Europe, and that was the only time I've really not worked. But I've always been a bit of a hustler. I like to work. I like to be busy. I'll never retire there. Like, I'm not one of these that will looking forward to retirement. When I retire, I'll be dead. You know what I mean? I'm not one of these to retire. I like to work. Even though with all my delusions like 10 years ago, I was full-time working, full-time renovating houses. I was like a project manager on construction sites for 8 years. Yeah, and for me, I like to be busy and I like to be proactive and just get on with it, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's not easy going all the time though, you know what I mean? Sometimes you have good days and sometimes you've got bad days. But as long as you're persistent and keep going, it will get better. And I always have that belief. Like, for me, I've been at the lowest of the lows and it can't really get much worse. So if I have a bad day, no, it wasn't as bad as not too long ago when I was dead, so it's much better there. And tomorrow will be even better. So even if you're having a bad day, keep going, because it will get better. And see you next Wednesday.